The betrayal unfolds. The perfect morning that wasn't. The Seattle rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Morrison and Blake architecture as I stared at my laptop screen. My hands were shaking, but not from the cold. 3 years of work. 3 years of late nights, sacrificed weekends, and endless coffee. All of it was stored on the laptop in front of me. Or at least, it was supposed to be. My name is Maya Chun, and I'm a senior architect at one of Seattle's most prestigious firms. At 28 years old, I had everything planned out. My career was climbing. My relationship with my fiancé Derek was solid, or so I thought. And today was supposed to be the day I submitted my proposal for the biggest project of my life, the Seattle waterfront eco tower. But right now, all I could see was the blue screen of death staring back at me. Maya? Maya, are you okay? I looked up to see Derek standing in my office doorway. Derek Mitchell, tall, handsome, with those green eyes that had made me fall in love with him 3 years ago. He worked in the same firm, in the engineering department. We were the perfect power couple, or at least that's what everyone said. The laptop crashed, I said quietly. My voice sounded strange, even to me. All my files, the presentation is in 2 hours. Derek's face went pale. What? But you had backups, right? I do, I said, taking a deep breath. Everything's on the cloud. I just need to download it to another computer. It'll take about 30 minutes. Relief flooded his face. Oh, thank God. You scared me for a second. That's when she walked in. The girl who changed everything. Sophie Martinez. 23 years old, fresh out of graduate school, and according to Derek, his childhood friend, who just happened to need an internship. I had helped her get the position at our firm 2 months ago because Derek asked me to. He said she was like a little sister to him. I should have seen the signs then. Oh no. What happened? Sophie's voice was high and sweet, like honey mixed with concern. She was petite, with long dark hair and big brown eyes that made her look innocent. She rushed over to my desk, her coffee cup in hand, one of those expensive lattes from the cafe downstairs. Just a technical issue, I said, already opening my cloud storage on Derek's laptop that he'd left in my office earlier. Nothing I can't fix. That's such a relief. Sophie leaned over to look at the screen, and that's when it happened. The coffee cup tilted. The hot liquid spilled across the keyboard of Derek's laptop. There was a sizzling sound, a flash, and then the screen went black. For a moment, nobody moved. We all just stared at the brown liquid spreading across the white desk, dripping onto the floor. Oh my God! Sophie's hands flew to her mouth. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Sophie, are you hurt? Derek immediately grabbed her hands, checking them for burns. Did it splash on you? I sat there, frozen. Not because of the laptop. I could use any computer in the office. But because of what I was seeing. The way Derek held Sophie's hands. The way he looked at her with such concern. The way he completely ignored me. Derek, I said slowly. That laptop has my login credentials. I need to submit my proposal in 2 hours. Right. He finally looked at me, but his hands were still holding Sophie's. You can use any computer. Just log in from another one. But all the formatting, the custom software I installed. Maya, it's fine. His voice had an edge to it now, that tone he used when he thought I was being difficult. You're smart. You'll figure it out. Right now, we need to make sure Sophie's okay. This was clearly an accident. Sophie was crying now, real tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Maya. I know how important today is for you. I'll pay for the laptop. I'll do anything to make this right. The first crack in the perfect picture. It's okay, Sophie, Derek said softly, pulling her into a hug. Accidents happen. Maya understands. Don't you, Maya? I looked at my fiancé holding another woman in his arms while my career opportunity dripped away with the coffee on my desk. Something cold settled in my stomach. Of course, I heard myself say. It was an accident. But here's what they didn't know. I'm not just smart. I'm careful. Obsessively careful. I had backed up everything in 3 different places. The cloud, an external hard drive in my locked desk drawer, and a secondary cloud account that nobody knew about, not even Derek. I stood up and walked to my desk drawer. Inside was my external hard drive, safe and sound. I'll use the conference room computer, I said calmly. Sophie, there's paper towels in the break room. You should clean this up before it stains. As I walked past them, I saw it. Just for a second. Derek's hand lingered on Sophie's lower back, and she leaned into him just a little too comfortably. It wasn't the touch of childhood friends. It was something else entirely. The proposal that changed my life. 2 hours later, I submitted my proposal from the conference room computer. Every slide was perfect. Every calculation was exact. Every design element was innovative yet practical. I had poured my soul into this project, and it showed. When I returned to my office, Derek was waiting for me. Alone this time. "How did it go?" he asked. "Good. I submitted everything on time. See? I told you it would work out." He smiled, that charming smile that used to make my heart skip. "Sophie feels terrible, by the way. She's been crying in the bathroom." "Where is she now?" "I sent her home early. She was too upset to work." I nodded slowly, organizing the papers on my desk. "That's very kind of you, Maya." Derek moved closer, taking my hands. "I know today was stressful, but you handled it so well. This is why I love you. You're always so professional, so put together. Nothing rattles you." "Nothing rattles me," I repeated softly. "Exactly." He kissed my forehead. "Listen, I was thinking. Sophie's internship evaluation is coming up next week. She's really struggling with her portfolio. You know how competitive this field is. Would you mind mentoring her a bit? Maybe helping her polish her work?" I looked up at him. "You want me to help the girl who just destroyed your laptop and almost ruined my career presentation?" "It was an accident, Maya. Come on, you're bigger than this." His voice had that edge again. "Besides, she looks up to you so much. She talks about you all the time, about how talented you are, how she wants to be like you someday." Something clicked in my mind, a pattern I'd been ignoring for weeks. The way Derek always defended Sophie. The way he always asked me to help her. The way he always made me feel like I was being petty or difficult when I questioned anything. "Okay," I said quietly. "Really?" Derek looked relieved. "That's great. I knew you'd understand. This is why you're going to be an amazing wife." After he left, I sat alone in my office as the Seattle rain continued its endless rhythm against the windows. I opened my email and scrolled through my sent messages. Then I opened Derek's email. I had his password because we used to share everything. What I found made my blood run cold. The truth in digital footprints. There were dozens of emails between Derek and Sophie. They started 3 months ago, right before she needed an internship. The tone was casual at first, then flirtatious, then unmistakably romantic. "I can't wait to see you every day at the office. Thank God Maya is so focused on her project. It gives us more time together. Just a few more months, and I'll figure out how to break up with her. I need to do it carefully. She has connections that could hurt my career." I scrolled further, my hands steady despite the storm building inside me. "Sophie, you're everything Maya isn't. She's so cold, so focused on work. You actually care about me, about us." I know the engagement was bad timing, but I couldn't say no without raising suspicion. "Don't worry, I'll end it after she helps you with your portfolio. We need her right now." The emails went on and on. Plans for secret meetings. Complaints about me. Dreams about their future together. And the most damning one, sent just yesterday. "Tomorrow's the big day. If we can make Maya think her proposal got ruined, she'll be devastated and distracted. That's when we can make our move. I'll comfort her, but keep her focused on you as the victim. She's so predictable. She'll take the high road and help you instead of fighting. By the time she realizes what's happening, I'll already have my promotion, and we can be together openly." I read that email 3 times. The coffee spill wasn't an accident. It was sabotage, and Derek had planned it with Sophie. The birth of a plan. I closed the email and sat back in my chair. The rain had stopped, and weak sunlight was breaking through the Seattle clouds. I could see the Space Needle in the distance, standing tall against the changing sky. For a moment, I felt everything. The betrayal, the hurt, the rage. 3 years. I had given this man 3 years of my life. I had supported his career, introduced him to important clients, helped him get promotions. I had planned a future with him, and he had been using me. But here's what Derek didn't understand about me. I didn't get to where I am by being emotional. I got here by being strategic, by planning, by executing with precision. If Derek wanted to play games, I would show him how a real professional plays. I opened a new folder on my personal laptop and titled it Project Karma. Then I began taking screenshots of every single email, every text message I could access, every digital footprint of their affair. Then I did something Derek would never expect. I printed out Sophie's portfolio that she'd sent me for review, and I studied it carefully, looking for every weakness, every borrowed idea, every shortcut she'd taken. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Derek. Dinner tonight? I'll cook your favorite. You deserve it after today's stress. I typed back. Sounds perfect. Love you. He responded with a heart emoji. I looked at that heart emoji for a long moment. Then I saved that screenshot too. The calm before the storm. That evening, Derek did cook dinner. Salmon with asparagus, my favorite. He lit candles. He poured wine. He was the perfect, attentive fiancé. I'm proud of you, he said, raising his glass. For handling today so well. For being the bigger person with Sophie. Thank you, I said, sipping my wine. Actually, I've been thinking about what you said. About mentoring Sophie. His eyes lit up. Yeah, I'll do it. In fact, I'll make sure her portfolio is so good, she'll definitely get a full-time offer. Derek reached across the table and squeezed my hand. This is why I'm marrying you, Maya. You're incredible. Some women would hold a grudge over a stupid coffee spill, but not you. You see the bigger picture. I always see the bigger picture, I agreed. That night, as Derek slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My engagement ring caught the moonlight streaming through the window. It was a beautiful ring. I had actually picked it out myself and sent Derek the link. He'd proposed exactly how I'd hinted I wanted. Even our engagement had been managed by me. I thought about the proposal I'd submitted earlier. The one that represented 3 years of my best work. The one that could make me the youngest senior partner in the firm's history. Then I thought about Derek and Sophie, laughing together as they planned to destroy me. A smile crossed my face in the darkness. They had no idea what was coming. The seeds of revenge. The next morning, I arrived at the office an hour early. I had a meeting with HR scheduled, one that Derek knew nothing about. Maya, come in. Jennifer Martinez, the HR director, welcomed me into her office. What can I do for you? I want to report a potential conflict of interest, I said calmly, placing a folder on her desk. Between my fiancé Derek Mitchell and the intern Sophie Martinez. Jennifer's expression became serious. What kind of conflict? I believe they may be having an inappropriate relationship. I have evidence, but I wanted to come to you first before making any formal accusations. I thought you should be aware, especially since Sophie's evaluation is coming up. I showed her some of the emails, not all of them, just enough to raise red flags. Jennifer's face tightened. This is serious, Maya. If this is true, both Derek and Sophie violated company policy. Derek, as a senior employee, should have disclosed any personal relationship with an intern. And Sophie? She trailed off, shaking her head. I understand, I said quietly. I'm not asking for any immediate action. I just wanted it on record. In case anything happens. You're protecting yourself, Jennifer said, understanding immediately. Smart. I learned from the best, I replied. After the meeting, I felt lighter. The first piece was in place. Now I just needed to wait for the right moment to move the next piece on the board. I went to my office and opened Sophie's portfolio. Then I began to help her by suggesting changes that were just slightly off, by recommending design choices that looked good but would fall apart under expert scrutiny, by praising ideas that were actually borrowed from other architects. Sophie ate it all up. Oh, Maya, you're such an amazing mentor. Derek was right. You're the best. I just want to help, I said with a warm smile. After all, we're all part of the same team. That afternoon, I got the call I'd been waiting for. Maya, my boss Richard's voice boomed through the phone. Can you come to my office? We need to discuss your proposal. This was it. I walked to Richard's office with my head high, my shoulders back. Derek saw me in the hallway and gave me a thumbs up, thinking I was just having a routine check-in. He had no idea that in the next 10 minutes, everything was about to change. And neither did Sophie, who was probably texting him right now about their plans for the weekend. The game had begun, and I was playing to win. Part 2, the perfect revenge. The winning moment. Richard's office smelled like expensive coffee and leather. He sat behind his massive mahogany desk, and beside him were 2 other senior partners, Margaret Chun and David Foster. All 3 of them were smiling. Maya, sit down. Richard gestured to the chair across from him. We've reviewed your proposal for the Seattle waterfront eco tower. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face calm and professional. Thank you for taking the time to review it. Taking the time? Margaret laughed. Maya, we stayed up until midnight going through it. Your design is revolutionary. The way you've incorporated vertical gardens with the structural support system, It's genius. The sustainability features alone will make this building a landmark, David added, leaning forward. You've thought of everything. Solar panels integrated into the window design, rainwater collection systems, even the materials you've chosen, all locally sourced and eco-friendly. Richard opened a folder. Maya, we're not just approving your proposal. We're making you the lead architect on this project. And effective immediately, you're being promoted to senior partner. The room went silent. Senior partner. At 28 years old, I would be the youngest person in the firm's 50-year history to hold that title. There's more, Margaret said, her eyes twinkling. This project comes with a 3-year contract worth $12 million. Your cut as lead architect will be substantial. We're talking about a compensation package that includes a base salary of $450,000 plus bonuses. I let the information sink in. This was everything I'd worked for. Everything I'd sacrificed for. When do I start? I asked. Today, Richard said. We'll make the announcement at this afternoon's company meeting. Maya, you've earned this. Your dedication, your talent, your vision, it's exactly what this firm needs. As I walked back to my office, I felt like I was floating, but I kept my expression neutral. Nobody could know yet, especially not Derek, the puppet master at work. I closed my office door and allowed myself one moment of pure joy. Then I got back to work. I opened my email and found the latest draft of Sophie's portfolio. She had implemented every single suggestion I'd made. It looked impressive at first glance, polished, professional, sophisticated. But anyone with real experience would see the problems immediately. The designs she'd created were actually modified versions of famous buildings. The sustainability calculations were wrong. The structural integrity of her main project was questionable. And worst of all, she had included several paragraphs of text that I'd found from architecture blogs and slightly reworded. It was plagiarism, subtle enough that Sophie probably didn't even realize what she'd done, but clear enough that it would end her career before it started. I smiled and hit send on an email to Sophie. Your portfolio looks perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. Submit it exactly as it is. Trust me, they'll love it. 3 minutes later, she responded. OMG, thank you so much, Maya. You're literally the best mentor ever. Derek is so lucky to have you. I wish I could find someone as amazing as you are, Red Heart. The heart emoji. That was bold. I forwarded that email to my personal account, adding it to the growing collection of evidence. Then I texted Derek. Can you come to my office? I have news. He appeared in my doorway within 2 minutes, slightly out of breath. What's up? Is everything okay? I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I'd planned to marry. The man who'd held me through my father's death last year. The man who'd proposed on the beach in Hawaii while the sunset painted the sky orange and pink. The man who'd been planning to leave me after using me to help his mistress. Everything's perfect, I said softly. Richard just called me in. They loved my proposal. That's great. Derek's smile seemed genuine. I knew they would. You're so talented, Maya. There's more. They're promoting me to senior partner. Derek's smile froze. Just for a second, something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe even concern, but then it was gone. What? That's incredible. Congratulations. He hugged me, but I felt the tension in his body. This wasn't part of his plan. In his version of the story, I was supposed to fail, or at least be too distracted to succeed. When do they announce it? He asked. This afternoon. At the company meeting. This afternoon, he repeated slowly. That's fast. They want to move quickly on the Eco Tower project. It's a huge contract, $12 million over 3 years. I watched his face carefully. He was trying to look happy, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. If I was senior partner, I had more power than him. More money. More connections. His plan was falling apart. That's amazing, babe, he finally said. We should celebrate tonight. I'll make reservations at Canlis. Actually, I said casually, I was thinking we could have a quiet night at home. There's something I want to talk to you about. Talk about what? Us. Our future. The wedding. Relief flooded his face. He probably thought I wanted to speed up the wedding date now that I had a big promotion. Sure, yeah. That sounds perfect. After he left, I sat down at my computer and composed an email to Jennifer in HR. Jennifer, following up on our conversation this morning, I wanted to let you know that Sophie Martinez will be submitting her portfolio today for final evaluation. I've been mentoring her as requested by Derek Mitchell. However, I have some concerns about the originality of her work that I think should be reviewed by the Academic Integrity Committee. I've attached my notes. Best regards, Maya Chun. I hit send and leaned back in my chair. Check. The company meeting. At 3 o'clock, the entire firm gathered in the main conference room. About 60 people, architects, engineers, interns, administrative staff, all packed into the space. I sat in the front row. Derek was 3 rows back, next to Sophie. I saw them exchange a quick glance when they thought no one was looking. Sophie's hand brushed against his arm. So careless. So confident. They really thought they'd won. Richard stood at the front of the room, commanding attention without even trying. Thank you all for coming. I'll keep this brief because I know everyone's busy. We have some exciting announcements today. He clicked a button and my proposal appeared on the screen behind him. Beautiful renderings of the waterfront eco tower, gleaming glass and green gardens reaching toward the Seattle sky. As many of you know, we've been competing for the Seattle waterfront project for over a year. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that we won the contract. The room erupted in applause. I saw Derek clapping, his smile tight. This victory belongs to one person, Richard continued. Her vision, her innovation, her dedication, that's what won this project. Maya Chun, would you please stand? I stood, feeling every eye in the room on me. Maya, I'm proud to announce your promotion to senior partner, effective immediately. You'll be leading the waterfront eco tower project. This is the largest contract in our firm's history, and we're confident you'll make it extraordinary. The applause was thunderous. People stood up. Margaret and David were beaming. My colleagues surrounded me, shaking my hand, congratulating me. And in the back of the room, Derek sat frozen in his chair. His face had gone pale. Sophie beside him looked confused, then worried. There's one more announcement, Richard said, waiting for the room to quiet down. As part of our commitment to integrity and excellence, we'll be implementing stricter guidelines for intern evaluations. Any questions about academic integrity or originality will be reviewed by our ethics committee before final offers are extended. Sophie's face went white. Derek grabbed her hand under the table. I smiled and raised my hand. Richard, I think that's an excellent policy. In fact, I submitted some concerns about potential plagiarism in one of our intern portfolios this morning. I hope the committee will review it thoroughly. Richard nodded approvingly. Exactly the kind of vigilance we need. Thank you, Maya. After the meeting, people swarmed me with congratulations. Derek waited in the hallway, and when the crowd finally cleared, he approached me. Can we talk? His voice was tight. Privately. Of course, I said sweetly. Let's use the conference room. The confrontation begins. In the conference room, Derek closed the door and turned to face me. His charming mask was slipping. What did you mean about plagiarism concerns? He asked. Exactly what I said. I reviewed Sophie's portfolio as her mentor, and I found several issues. Borrowed designs, incorrect calculations, and text that appears to come from online sources. As a senior partner now, I have a responsibility to maintain the firm's standards. You sabotaged her, Derek said flatly. I didn't sabotage anyone. I simply reviewed her work honestly. If there are problems, that's on her, not me. Derek stepped closer, his voice low and angry. You know how important this is to her. This internship could launch her career, and my project could have launched mine, but she spilled coffee all over my workspace. Remember? Or was that accident not really an accident? His face went still. What are you talking about? Come on, Derek. Don't insult my intelligence. I crossed my arms. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? Figure what out? That you and Sophie are sleeping together. That you've been planning to leave me. That the coffee spill was a setup to sabotage my proposal and make me vulnerable. The color drained from his face completely. Maya, I don't know what you. Don't lie to me. My voice was ice. I read the emails. All of them. 3 months of planning. 3 months of using me to help her while you counted down the days until you could dump me. Derek sat down heavily in a chair. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, how long have you known? Since yesterday, right after I submitted my proposal. And you didn't say anything? Why would I? You two were so confident in your little plan. I thought I'd let it play out and see what happened. Derek looked up at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in his eyes, fear. What are you going to do? Me? I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to focus on my new position as senior partner in this incredible project I've been given. You and Sophie, on the other hand." I smiled. "Well, that's between you, her, and HR." "You went to HR?" Derek stood up so fast his chair fell over. "Maya, you can't." "I already did. This morning. I provided them with evidence of your inappropriate relationship with an intern. Company policy is very clear about disclosure requirements. Derek, you should have reported it. This will destroy my career." "Your career?" I laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. "What about mine? What about the 3 years I invested in you? The connections I made for you? The times I covered for your mistakes? And you repay me by cheating with a 23-year-old intern and planning to leave me after using me to help her." Derek's hands were shaking. "I loved you, Maya. I did. But you're so cold, so focused on work. Sophie makes me feel alive. Sophie makes you feel important because she's young and impressionable and looks at you like you're a genius. But trust me, Derek, once she realizes you're just a mediocre engineer who can't succeed without using women, she'll leave you too." "You're a heartless bitch," he spat. "No," I said calmly. "I'm a senior partner who just secured a $12 million contract. You're a man who threw away his career for an affair with an intern. There's a difference." The dominoes fall. Over the next week, everything unfolded exactly as I'd planned. The ethics committee reviewed Sophie's portfolio and found multiple instances of plagiarism and ethical violations. Her internship was terminated immediately, and the firm blacklisted her from future employment. The report was also sent to her graduate school, which launched its own investigation. Derek was called into HR. The evidence of his undisclosed relationship with an intern violated company policy. He was given 2 options: resign quietly or face formal disciplinary action that would go on his permanent record. He chose to resign. I heard through the office grapevine that Sophie blamed Derek for ruining her career. He blamed her for being careless. Their relationship, which had seemed so passionate and real, crumbled under pressure in less than a week. Meanwhile, I moved into my new corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of Puget Sound, and my name on the door, Maya Chun, senior partner. My mother called me crying happy tears. My best friend took me out to celebrate. My mentor from graduate school sent me flowers. And Derek? I heard he found a job at a smaller firm in Tacoma, making about half what he used to make. No one at our firm would give him a recommendation. Sophie moved back to California. Her career in Seattle architecture was over before it really began. The final message. 2 weeks after the announcement, I was working late in my new office when there was a knock on my door. "Come in," I called. Derek walked in. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, wearing a wrinkled shirt. This wasn't the polished man I'd known. This was someone who'd lost everything. "Maya," he said quietly, "can we talk?" "You have 5 minutes." He sat down across from my desk. "I came to apologize. And to ask, is there any way you could help me? Just a recommendation letter? Or maybe talk to Richard about bringing me back after some time passes?" I looked at him for a long moment. "You want me to help you? I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But Maya, I'm drowning. I can't find decent work. Sophie's threatening to sue me, saying I promised her things. My parents are ashamed of me. Please." "Derek," I said gently, "do you remember what you told Sophie in one of your emails? You said I was predictable and that I would take the high road because that's just who I am." "I was wrong." "You were right," I interrupted. "I am taking the high road. The high road to success, to partnership, to everything I've worked for." "Your road? That's not my concern anymore." "So that's it. 3 years together and you just destroy me?" I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. "I didn't destroy you, Derek. You destroyed yourself. I just refused to let you destroy me in the process." "You're really that cold?" I turned to face him. "No, I'm that done. With you, with Sophie, with all of it. I have a building to design and a career to build. You're just a lesson I learned along the way." "What lesson?" "That the only person you can truly count on is yourself. That trust has to be earned, not given. And that revenge doesn't have to be loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's just success living well while your enemies watch from below." Derek stood up, and I saw tears in his eyes. "I really did love you, Maya. That wasn't a lie." "Maybe you did," I said quietly. "But you loved yourself more. And now you get to live with that choice." He left without another word. I went back to my desk and pulled up the designs for the Eco Tower. Tomorrow I had a meeting with the City Planning Commission. The day after that, a press conference. My life was moving forward, accelerating into everything I dreamed of. And Derek? Derek was just a name in my past. A story I might tell someday about the man who underestimated me. But right now, I had work to do. The sweet taste of victory. That night, I went home to my apartment, the one I'd rented by myself after Derek moved out. It was smaller than the place we'd shared, but it was mine. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every choice, all mine. I poured myself a glass of wine and stood on my balcony, looking out at Seattle's skyline. Somewhere out there was the empty lot where my building would stand. The waterfront eco tower. My legacy. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Margaret. "Congratulations again, Maya. You're going to do incredible things. The future is yours." I smiled and typed back, "Thank you. I'm ready." And I was. Ready for success. Ready for the next chapter. Ready for a life built on my own terms, with no one to hold me back. Derek had wanted to use me as a stepping stone to his dreams with Sophie. Instead, I'd used his betrayal as fuel to reach heights he could never imagine. That's the difference between us. He played checkers. I played chess. And checkmate hurts. Part 3. The final victory. 3 years later, a new world. The London rain was different from Seattle's. Softer somehow. More romantic. I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Canary Wharf apartment, watching the Thames River reflect the city lights below. 3 years had passed since that afternoon when Derek walked out of my office for the last time. 3 years since I destroyed his career and sent Sophie running back to California with her tail between her legs. And what a 3 years it had been. The Seattle Waterfront Eco Tower was completed 18 months ahead of schedule. It won 6 International Architecture Awards, including the prestigious Pritzker Prize nomination. My face was on the cover of Architectural Digest. Forbes named me one of their 30 under 30 in architecture. The building became Seattle's new icon, photographed more than the Space Needle. But success in Seattle wasn't enough for me. Morrison and Blake had offices in 12 countries, and I wanted more. So when they offered me the position of Global Design Director based in London, I didn't hesitate. I was 31 years old, running international projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and living my dream life in one of the world's greatest cities. "Maya, are you ready?" I turned to see James walking out of the bedroom, adjusting his tie. Dr. James Richardson, British, brilliant, and kind in ways Derek never was. We'd met at an architecture conference in Barcelona 2 years ago. He was a structural engineer, but unlike Derek, he celebrated my success instead of competing with it. "Almost," I said, walking over to kiss him. "Just taking a moment to appreciate the view." "The view of London or the view of your success?" he teased. "Both." Tonight was the grand opening of my latest project, the London Sky Gardens, a revolutionary residential tower that integrated vertical farming with luxury living. Prince William was attending. So were half of London's elite and architecture community from around the world. "You look beautiful," James said softly, his hand on my waist. "Though you always do." I was wearing a custom Stella McCartney gown, deep emerald green that matched my eyes. My hair was swept up elegantly, and the diamond earrings James had given me for my birthday sparkled in the light. This was my life now. Not planning my future around someone else's insecurities. Not shrinking myself to make a man feel bigger. Just living. Succeeding. Thriving. "We should go," I said. "Can't be late to my own event." As we rode in the car to the venue, I checked my phone. There was an email from Margaret back in Seattle. "Maya, the board wants to discuss expanding your role. Call me when you have time. Also, there's someone here asking about you. Your old friend Derek. Should I tell him where to find you?" My finger hovered over the reply button. Derek. I hadn't heard that name in 3 years. I'd blocked him on everything, moved on completely, and honestly hadn't thought about him in months. "What is it?" James asked, noticing my expression. "Nothing important," I said, putting my phone away. "Just a ghost from the past." The grand opening. The London Sky Gardens opening was everything I'd imagined. The event space was filled with industry leaders, celebrities, investors, and journalists. Champagne flowed. Orchestra music played softly in the background. And in the center of it all stood a massive model of my building, 60 stories of glass, steel, and living green walls. I gave a speech about sustainable urban living and the future of architecture. The crowd gave me a standing ovation. Prince William shook my hand and said, "Brilliant work, Miss Chun. London is lucky to have you." After the formal program, I mingled with guests, discussing future projects and accepting congratulations. That's when I saw her. Sophie Martinez. She was standing by the bar, wearing a dress that was too tight and too cheap for this event. Her hair was different, shorter, less polished. She looked older, tired, like someone who'd been through hard times. Our eyes met across the room. I saw a recognition flash in her face, then fear, then something else, desperation. She started walking toward me. "Maya," she said when she reached me. Her voice was small. "I didn't think you'd remember me." "Sophie," I said calmly. "This is a surprise. How did you get an invitation to this event?" I didn't have one. I waited outside and slipped in when the doors opened. "I knew you'd be here. I've been following your career." She took a breath. "Can we talk? Please? Just 5 minutes." James appeared at my side, sensing tension. "Everything all right, darling?" "Fine," I assured him. "This is an old acquaintance from Seattle. Sophie, this is Dr. James Richardson, my partner." Sophie's eyes widened slightly. "Partner. Not fiancé. Not boyfriend. Partner. Equal." "I'll give you two a moment," James said diplomatically, though his hand squeezed mine supportively before he walked away. I turned back to Sophie. "You have 3 minutes." The apology that came too late. We moved to a quieter corner of the venue, away from the celebration. "I'm sorry," Sophie said immediately, words tumbling out fast. "For everything. The coffee spill, the affair with Derek, trying to ruin your career. I was young and stupid and I thought I loved him." "You thought you loved him," I repeated. Past tense. "He destroyed my life, Maya." Her voice cracked. "After I got fired and blacklisted, I couldn't find work anywhere. My grad school expelled me. My family disowned me. Derek promised he'd support me, that we'd figure it out together. Let me guess," I said. "Once you had nothing to offer him, he left."